What's up, Trader's Edge? It's Mark Sebastian, your only option. In today's episode, I'm going to be breaking down the week that was. I'm going to talk about what's going on with the VIX. We're going to talk about SPX, the Triple Q, the Russell 2000. I'm going to talk about the news coming next week. And of course, I'm going to give you that one stock to watch. So with that, let's dig in. So non-farm payrolls hit on Friday, and they were pretty darn good. The market liked them. They were kind of Goldilocks-y. A little bit soft, but not really soft. The employment rate dropped a little bit. Average hourly earnings about normal. Everything in line, nice and Goldilocks. Not great, not bad. Bad from a historical standpoint, only 50,000 jobs. But from a kind of what could have happened, really bad or really good, I think this market is selling off. Right in line, perfect, because that supports the interest rate narrative. Great week for the S&P 500. On the second, we closed at 68.58. Nice 100 points on the week. Qs, not as great of a week as the SPX. And I'm going to talk about why here in a second, but still a good week. SPX, new all-time high. Qs, not so much. What is booming is the Dow. My goodness. New all-time high close. Really strong week, right? The diamonds closed last week at 483.63. Closed today 495.02. 12-point rally. Pretty darn good. Now, the big winner of the week, IWM. What a rip. On the second, this thing closed at 246.16. It rallied 14 points. That's more than 5% over the course of 5 days. Straight up almost all week. Looked very strong. I like it to continue to move higher. So why the weakness in the NASDAQ, the okayness in the S&P, and the real strength in IWM and in the diamonds? Why? The answer, couple of things. But the big one is rotation. 2026 is not going to be a great year for the Mag 7. Will it be fine? Sure. Are you going to get your shirt handed to you carrying them? Probably not. But I think that the real strength that we could see in 2026 is going to come from banking. Look at the strength in Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan. It's going to come from oil and energy. Look at XOM, CVX. It's going to come from industrials. Names like GE, even a Honeywell. We could see some real strength out of the industrials and even some of the consumer names. The best stock on the week in the Mag 7 was Amazon. On the second, this thing closed at 226, 21-point rally, almost 10% in a week. You could also see some strength out of Tesla, which looks like it's starting to kind of start to break out here a little bit. And even in names like General Motors, this might be the year of the other 492 stocks, or 491 if you want to throw Taiwan Semiconductor and Broadcom in there. This might be their year. The other players that I think are going to have a year, again, energy, banking. Well, IWM is almost all financial and energy. Shocker, has the best week that it's had since November. And again, I think this could continue. You could continue to see strength here. Coming up next week, the big news is going to be CPI and banking earnings. Bank of America reports on the 14th. JP Morgan on the 13th. Goldman on the 15th. You've got Wells Fargo on the 14th. Morgan Stanley on the 15th. Citigroup on the 14th. Just about every major bank is reporting either a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. So you're going to see a lot of banking, and you're going to see CPI. That is really, I believe, going to set the table for all of earnings season. But next week could be a little bit more fun, a little bit more interesting. We start earnings season. Doesn't really start in earnest until we start getting some of these Mag 7 names. They don't report for a little bit. You know, Apple and Microsoft and Meta and Amazon tend to be the early announcers. And, you know, they're all end of January. So got a couple weeks before we worry about those. But we do start with banking and some energy and a few other things. So be on top of that. All right. So heading into next week, what is my one stock to watch? Oil services. You know, I want to show you what happened this week. I'm going to pull up a 5-day chart on Schlumberger. I'm going to go 10-day because I want you to be able to get Monday in. So from Monday, or really since Wednesday, this thing has gone from 38 to over 45. And from Friday's close, it's gone from 40 to 45, 11%. And what's interesting is that while we saw after Monday's pop, on Tuesday, Chevron, Exxon, a lot of the oil conglomerates took it on the chin. This one really held its own and continued north. The same out of Halliburton. Why? Before they're going to be able to invest in these names, they're going to need, in Venezuela, they're going to need to build the infrastructure. That's Halliburton, and that is Schlumberger. I expect those two to have an extremely good week and a potentially monumental Q1 2026 and maybe even Q2 as these orders start to come in and as things get figured out in Venezuela and the U.S. continues to push energy. All right, folks, there you have it. I hope you had a wonderful trading week. I hope you have a great weekend. If you're watching me on YouTube, please like, subscribe, leave a comment. And if you're catching this in email, check this out. Join me and Vaz in West Palm Beach starting on March 4th. We got early bird pricing for the first 20 people. Call my team, 888-872-3301, or click this link. All right, everybody. I'm Mark Sebastian. I am your only option. Have a good one.